Hello everyone, my name is Brennan Maher, that noise you hear is my ventilator. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. Well, my friends, next Tuesday in fact, is the launch of Disney Plus. I can't tell you how excited I am, particularly for The Mandalorian. And so, next week there are going to be 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. The 12th will be the pilot, or I guess pilot's the wrong word, will be the first episode, and Friday the 15th will be the second episode. So what I'm going to do is Tuesday's episode next week will just be a normal episode because I record these in the morning. And I think Thursday the 14th will be the day that I talk about the first episode of The Mandalorian. The reason I don't want to do that on the 13th is because the 13th is for cataloging the characters in the Star Wars universe. And I don't want to disrupt the continuity there. And then after Friday the 15th episode, my Monday the 18th episode will be a review of the second episode of The Mandalorian. From then on, all the Mandalorian episodes will follow the 15th by being released on every Friday. So the following Mondays will be my reviews of the Mandalorian episodes. Unless there's a week when we do not have a Mandalorian episode. Then I'll just revert back to normal Monday topics. So, in preparation for that, I thought it would be fun today to give you kind of a retrospective on my experience with Star Wars Rebels, which, by the way, will be on Disney Plus in its entirety, and I would recommend it. There will be spoilers in this particular episode of my podcast, but I will try to keep them to a minimum. First off, I would say Star Wars Rebels is worth checking out. So let me give you a bit of background on my experience with it. Star Wars Rebels was announced, I believe, before the canon reset of the Star Wars universe. Let me explain what that means. After the Star Wars films came out, Lucasfilm brought in authors and comic book writers and video game designers and others to expand the Star Wars universe in what is known as the expanded universe. That was a very successful venture, and a lot of content was created. However, George Lucas and those in charge of the Star Wars films did not have to follow the canon as set by the expanded universe. There were different levels of canon. It was very complicated. Lucasfilm always maintained, though, that the true story of Star Wars was only to be found within the movies. But that other stuff, the expanded universe, was kind of in a level of canon we'll call it kinda canon. It was very complicated. In 2014, Lucasfilm announced that the expanded universe would now be called Star Wars Legends. And the Star Wars films and the Clone Wars series were the official continuity of Star Wars. And every new piece of Star Wars storytelling would be canon. Canon means the official story. I believe Star Wars Rebels was announced before that, and thus is canon. However, Lucasfilm did point out that the Star Wars Legends could be cherry-picked for new or interesting ideas to incorporate into the canon. That's all very complicated. The villains in the Star Wars Rebels seasons 1 and 2 are the Inquisitors, who are Jedi hunters employed by the Empire. They are an example of the cherry-picking of the Legends. The idea of the Inquisitors was invented in the Star Wars role-playing game, which is part of the Legends, but then was brought into canon because the Lucasfilm Story Group, who are now in charge of Star Wars canon, felt that the Inquisitors would fit in the story of Rebels. And they did, quite well. And the reason I bring this up is because of the hook that got me into Star Wars Rebels. I was interested in Rebels. I was not like super excited about it. I was intrigued when I saw the voice cast that Freddie Prinze Jr., known mostly for his 90s rom-coms, like She's All That, and of course the Scooby-Doo movies, that he was going to be playing Kanan Jarrus, one of the lead characters of Star Wars Rebels. And I thought, oh, okay. My ears started to perk up when the villain, Agent Callus, who works for the ISB, which is basically the Empire's version of the FBI, was announced that he would be played by David Oyelowo. David Oyelowo is a classically trained British stage actor who played Martin Luther King Jr. in the film Selma, which I had seen, and so that made me go, okay, but let's bring the Inquisitors into this. The main villain of Season 1 is called the Grand Inquisitor, and he would be voiced by Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs played Lucius Malfoy, Draco's dad in the Harry Potter movies. And I already was a huge fan of Jason Isaacs at the time he was announced in Rebels, and that was the hook that got me in. So immediately when I heard that, I went, okay, I'm in. I am a huge fan of voice acting, and it intrigues me when I learn about some of these voice actors. So, the show starts. The first episode, called Spark of Rebellion, was good. It didn't knock my socks off, but I did quite enjoy it. I like these new characters. The story of Star Wars Rebels is about a street rat named Ezra Bridger who joins up with a team of Star Wars characters, that's very redundant, who joins up with a team of characters who are causing havoc for the Empire on the planet Lothal. Lothal is an industrial world that produces a lot of stuff for the Empire. And the Rebels, which is a ragtag group of freedom fighters, are disrupting the Empire's operations on Lothal. And Ezra, who is Force sensitive, is drawn to them and enters their cause. Ezra is basically Star Wars Aladdin. He's even got the same hair. He's got the same hair, the same attitude. And he's a street rat. Go figure, it's a Disney product. I just thought that was very interesting. So, it starts out pretty well. Quite a few episodes are what I would call filler. And then we get toward the end of Season 1. The Rebels' activities draws the attention of a certain Grand Moff Tarkin, who you may remember as the guy in charge of the Death Star in the original Star Wars film. Then I really got intrigued, because this is a character that I quite enjoy. In Star Wars The Clone Wars, Tarkin made an appearance in several episodes. Captain Tarkin at the time, who was part of the Republic, voiced by the great Stephen Stanton, who was a voice actor who did a great job at mimicking the original actor's voice, Peter Cushing, and capturing that snooty upper crust Imperial feel. That was great. And the last 3 episodes of Season 1 of Rebels were quite marvelous. And I think really, I was already in, but those 3 episodes really made me go, okay, this show is magnificent. Now, I don't want to get too big into spoilers, but there is a character who appears in the last episode of Season 1 of Rebels, who I was so excited to see return. A character who we had seen before, but I won't give any more details there. So Season 1 takes place mostly on Lothal. Season 2 takes place on a planet called Garel, with other situations of going around the galaxy, but mostly in the vicinity of Lothal. Season 2, particularly the first episode, sees the return, of course, of Darth Vader, voiced by James Earl Jones. It's amazing to get to see Vader in animated form, which is quite cool. And James Earl Jones, of course, magnificent with the voice. I do want to get really quick the finale of Season 2. It's magnificent. It's a 2-parter, which is in my opinion, some of the best Star Wars storytelling I have ever seen. Yes, even on a show that could be called a kid's cartoon. To me, it's on par with some of the best of the movies. It was really those episodes that made me go, this is definitely perfect Star Wars. This show is more than a dumb kid show. It has the ability to tell stories that are magnificent and on the same level with some of the greatness of the movies. Yes, a lofty claim. You might see it and not agree, but that's how I feel about it. Season 3 sees the rebels locate to a planet called Attilan, which also sees an appearance, yet again, no spoilers, of a character who was a big deal in the legends, who was finally brought into canon and brought to life in an incredible way, which was extremely exciting. He was the villain of season 3 and 4. And the planet Attilan turned out to be a very fascinating place. It was home to a strange creature called the Bendu, which, for those of you familiar with The Lord of the Rings, the Bendu reminded me of Tom Bombadil, a powerful character who existed beyond the petty conflicts of the world he inhabited, but nonetheless was extremely wise and powerful and knowledgeable. Maybe not as whimsical as Tom Bombadil, but this strange being, voiced by former Doctor Who, Tom Baker, was an incredible addition to Star Wars and an understanding of the Force. The Bendu claims to be between the light and the dark of the Force. He claims to be the one in the middle. Great character, some great storylines. Final episode of season 3, great. Yet again, they seem to nail their finales. And then season 4 brings the rebels to Yavin 4, which is the rebel base from the Star Wars original film. And great developments, reappearance of Saga. Saw, you may remember, was Forrest Whitaker's character from Rogue One. It was great to get to see him in animated form, voiced by Forrest Whitaker, and every bit as a fanatic as he was in Rogue One. To understand more of his split with the rebel leaders. And of course, yet again, the series ends with a bang. Season 4 was the final season, taking place about a year before the original film, ends with a bang. And they wisely decided to leave it at only 4 seasons. I enjoyed the series immensely. There are a lot of episodes that are filler, but never, in my opinion, never did they have a bad episode. Which I was actually very glad about, because even the Clone Wars had some episodes that I would call bad. And no, I'm not talking about the Jar Jar Binks episodes. But when Rebels hits it, for me, they really hit a home run. Like, when Rebels is great, it's magnificent. When it's not so great, it's just okay. Very well voice acted. The animation can be a bit cheap at times. And it's very simple animation. But nonetheless, I think that it manages to do its job very well. And I know that it may be easy to dismiss it as a kid show. But I think once people look past that, they may be surprised at the depth that the show has. So I would recommend watching it. And it will be on Disney Plus in its entirety. So you'll get to watch it if that is your desire. So I thought I'd just give you my thoughts on that. In our countdown to the release of The Mandalorian. So my name is Brendan North. Thank you so much for tuning in to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. May the Force be with you.